reality really hit me, and I was like, she might like pass away, you know, like we're gonna fight, but she might pass away.
What is up, everyone? I'm your host, Alan Ice, and this is Noche de Pendejadas, your favorite podcast turned talk show en donde yo traigo a tus influencers favoritos para platicar y posiblemente sacarles sus trapitos al sol. Antes de que empecemos con el episodio del día de hoy, amigas, les quería recordar que la semana que viene, Saturday, July 11th, I will be hosting at the Lola in Glendale, Arizona, que queda como a 10-15 minutos, amigas, de Phoenix. Yo sé que muchos de ustedes me han estado pidiendo que venga a Arizona, amigas, so por finmente hasta que se nos hace. Estoy súper emocionado, amigas, de enfiestarme con todos ustedes, so make sure you guys go ahead, get your tickets. I will leave them linked down below. They will also be available at the door, y prepárense para enfiestarse a todo lo que da. And with that being said, please help me welcome my guest tonight, Candy and Jay. Hola, amigos, ¿cómo están?
Muy bien.
Bienvenidos al podcast. You guys, let me just say that I know I always say that it's been a long time in the making whenever we film these episodes. The amount of times we've like picked a date, then it's gone like MIA. Like I will take accountability. It's been because of me, y'all. I'm like, I will say, so I'm really glad that this is finally happening el día de hoy. Yo siempre digo que los tiempos de Dios son perfectos, y si Dios quiso el día de hoy, pues hoy se hace, and I'm so excited de tenerlos aquí el día de hoy para conocerlos un poquito más. Antes de que empecemos con todo el chisme del día de hoy, tell us a little bit more about your guys' trip out here. I know you guys landed here yesterday. Se van hasta el sábado. ¿Qué tienen planeados? What are the vibes? Cuéntenos un poquito más de eso.
We're just going to be staying like around this area. Yesterday, where did we go?
We went to Hollywood Boulevard where the stars are. I don't know where it's at, but
Walk of Fame?
Walk of Fame.
Yes. Today, after this, I think we're going to spend the afternoon in Santa Monica.
Period.
Yeah. And then tomorrow, what are we doing?
We're shooting our intro because we stopped shooting on YouTube for a while. We wanted to sit back, kind of think about what we really wanted to do, and we're gonna shoot like our kind of like a trailer tomorrow. So
you guys are doing like a little bit of everything. It's like for fun, for work, collabs. Do you guys have like other collabs in mind out here?
We did try to get some, but everybody was really busy. We did do this kind of last minute, which is also, I'm really excited and happy in the fact that we made this work out. Because like you said, we were going back and forth and we just couldn't find a set date, but
lo bueno que se va a hacer, amiga. Se está haciendo, and I'm so excited because I feel like whenever I really interview someone, siento que no nomás yo, pero la gente en casita los puede conocer un poquito más. Y pues yo ya me voy a callar, amigas, y vamos a empezar. But before we do, les voy a dar el micrófono a ustedes para que nos digan un poquito más de quién son y qué hacen for those at home que a lo mejor no los conocen.
I'm Candy, or also known as Dulce, whichever one you'd like. I'm 21 years old. I was born in Pontiac, Michigan.
And then I'm Jonathan, or other known as Jay, because Jonathan's a little too long. And I don't like John. It sounds like an old man name, but also born in Pontiac, Michigan.
In Michigan, though, it's very, very chill, very different from here. The traffic alone, it was insane here in LA compared to the one in Michigan. It's very chill. There's not many stuff to do, like attractions and stuff. But you get the 4 seasons, you know, there's a lot of jobs over there. The economy is always nice. We have the lakes. I feel like many people don't really talk about it, but I really like it.
But they're there. But it's there. Ya vamos a empezar el episodio del día de hoy, amigas. Y vamos a empezar primero con Candy. Well, we're going to go back and forth, amigas, from Candy to Jay, from Candy to Jay. But vamos a empezar con las mujeres. Yo quiero conocerte, y para poder conocer una persona, siento que tenemos que empezar del principio, which is your childhood. Cuéntanos un poquito más. How was Candy growing up? What were things you liked doing? Tell us all about your childhood.
I was an only child for a very long time, so me la pasé kind of solita.
Okay.
And then my cousins started coming along, but even then, the age gaps were really big, so I spent most of my childhood just to myself. I was an iPad kid for sure. I spent it on YouTube. I knew all of the social media trends. I was on Musical.ly. I was on Vine, all of those apps. I was very calmada, I would say. I think it's for that same reason that because I was alone most of the time. I was really into toys. I would say I still am a little childish. I've always been a little aniñada.
He's like, yo, I can attest to that.
Yeah, I would spend a lot of time just with dolls. I would make them little dresses by myself. That was literally what I would spend most of the time doing.
Your little minifigures.
Yes, I was obsessed with mini collectibles.
Like collecting them?
I like to do a lot of side hobbies too. I played the piano. I was in dance. I was just doing anything for like side quests.
Quiero platicar un poquito más de tu relación con tus papás. Nos cuentas that you were an only child. What was your relationship like with your parents growing up? Do you feel like you were more of like a mommy's girl, a daddy's girl? Cuéntanos un poquito más de eso.
I would definitely say I was a mommy's girl. And my dad's always been in my life. He was very present, but my parents did separate when I was 4 years old. So for most of my childhood that I can remember, it was always just me and my mom. By the time they separated, I kind of had an idea. I got used to it pretty fast. It wasn't like a drastic change because they were already having like a lot of issues between themselves. I never really felt excluded though, in a type of way. I kind of was always okay with it. It was a norm for me. Like I said, my dad has always been present. I still saw him during the weekends, but during the week, I would just be with my mom the whole time. At first, for the longest time, I didn't think that it affected me in a negative way. But then when I started getting older, you know, when relationships started coming around, when I met Jonathan and everything, I realized that I had like little tendencies and just ways of thinking that definitely had to do with the fact that my parents weren't together. It wasn't just with my parents, but with my family, there's always been like a lot of cheating, always been around that. So it was something that was always in the back of my mind. I had this image of what a relationship was supposed to be like until I was with him for a longer time, and then it definitely changed, and I realized that not every relationship is toxic, you know, not every relationship is full of fights. It can actually be really good and happy as long as you both cultivate it in a way. I knew I was gonna end up with someone. I'm like, yo siempre fui volada.
Que iba a encontrar a alguien, lo iba a encontrar.
Yeah, I just didn't have the idea of like, you know, that like princess in shining armor relationship.
Okay.
I was kind of ready for the downsides that I saw growing up in everybody else. When I would think of relationships, I was definitely ready for the downsides, like I said, the negative sides and all of that. But when I met him, it was just like a whole different world introduced to me. Like I had no idea that it could have be this good, you know?
You grew up with a single mom. Cuéntanos un poquito más de eso. You know, was there ever moments you saw your mom struggle? What were things maybe you saw your mom do to make ends meet?
I don't even know where to start. My mom is my whole entire world. Like, honestly, I owe everything that I do and have for her. She was such a hard worker. In my childhood, I lived in 11 homes. We were always constantly on the move. I didn't really have one stationary home at. And that was pretty much just my mom trying to make it work for the both of us. There was times where she was working 2 to 3 jobs. I would only see her in the mornings when she would drop me off to school, and then the rest of the day I'd be at my grandma's house. I think it definitely made me independent. It never made me feel sad, to be honest. Even before I understood what my mom was really doing and why she was kind of absent, I just think she did an amazing job. I felt accompanied the whole time. I just really owe it all to her.
Are you and your mom close?
Yes,
How
very close. We're like best friends. We're
like
really,
you tell her everything, like when you guys first started talking, like, Mom, like todo. Or...
I will say she was really strict when it came to boyfriends at first, because we met when I was 15 and you were 16, right? Yep. We met at that time, and at first I think my mom was scared kind of me getting with a guy or me just having a boyfriend.
Not just that, but maybe she was also scared of like history repeating itself in a way, like, you know.
Yeah, she was very cautious. She was strict at first. I told her that I like Jonathan, and she was like, no, él está más grande que tú. Mind you, it was just a year. She was like, él es mayor. She's like, él ya maneja. Yeah.
Ella tiene otra mentalidad.
Yeah, exactly.
Ella busca otra cosa. Literally. You're like, Mom, like, we're in the same class. Literally.
She was like, you can have a boyfriend después de tus 15. I was like, okay. Literally a week after my 15, I was like, so I like one of my chambelanes. I happened to like Jonathan. You know, she wasn't happy about it. But then when she realized that I really wanted it, and he was persistent too, because he tried to ask for permission and everything, she hit us with the, you guys can start dating, but in 6 months.
You're like, you said 15.
I'm that girl, so 15 and a half. I was like, why 6 months? You know, and then she was like, you'll just see. I was like, if he really wants to, he'll wait the 6 months, this and that. You'll see his true intentions. And, you know, at first I was like, girl, whatever. Like, you just don't want me to
like,
be
I'm
happy.
still going to date him. Like, nothing's going to stop me. But I feel like that comes to show that she really was like, you know what? It wasn't that she was stopping you from, you know, dating, but it was more like, girl, like, take it slow. Like, if he really wants you and if he really sees the future with you, like, he's gonna wait and he's gonna do things the right way. A veces siento como que nos echamos como nuestros papás como de enemigos, like, oh, you don't want me to have fun, you don't want me to date. But like Jonathan said, he's like, it's really like, your mom has lived a life and she's like, I don't want my daughter to make the same mistakes or for things that happen to me to happen to her. How was
Yeah.
your relationship with your dad? You know, obviamente, you guys didn't live together the whole time. Do you feel like that kind of created some sense of emotional distance with him?
It definitely did, because I will say, as a dad, he did everything right. He always has. He's always been there for me, supported me in everything I've done, you know, funded for everything I needed. But it's just as a husband, that's where he really failed at. And I feel like a part of me como que le tiene a little rincor todavía. I always had that little gut feeling. I always had that feeling towards him. But I feel like in the last couple years, I kind of grew out of it. And I understand, you know, everyone's the way that they are for a reason. Some people...
Do you feel like that resentment comes from, you mentioned that he cheated on your mom, right?
I don't think he cheated, from what I remember at least. But he was very machista. He was very controlling with my mom. He didn't let her use makeup, wear certain clothes, certain dresses and things. She was just very controlling, confined. And he definitely abused of the fact, because my mom came here when she was pregnant with me. It was just her and my dad for a long time. My grandparents and all my aunts and uncles were in Mexico for a long time until later on they moved over here. I think he just took advantage of the fact that my mom only had him. Exactly. But like I said, as a father, he always did his job. He's always been a really good dad, but it was just that in the aspect like a husband and partner that he, you know, he really failed at.
Did the machismo affect you growing up? You know, obviamente when you grow up with a machista dad, it's like not only can he be machista towards his wife, but also towards his children? Did he also like, mija, no, tú no puedes andar con falditas, or mija, tú esto, no, esto, otro? Did that affect you too, like his machismo?
Yeah, he definitely tried to, but my mom stepped in every single time and I'd be like, Mom, my dad me está regañando por esto and otro. He's telling me that I can't do this and that. She was always there. She always had my back. I think, you know, in her mind, she was like, you know what? You're not going to be that way with her. You could have been that way with me, but you're not going to be that way
Con
with
mis
her.
hijos, no.
Yeah,
Con la
yeah,
niña,
yeah.
no. How the TikTok sound, literally.
So by like 18, I would say around 17, that's when he kind of really understood that I wasn't going to like back down or anything. I kind of just...
Do you feel like now as an adult you have more of an emotional relationship with your dad than you did maybe growing up?
Yeah, I definitely did. Like I said, I just kind of accepted the person that he was. I've always loved him. You know, that's never going to change because he's my dad. But I definitely came to terms with the kind of person he is, you know, the situation that he put me and my mom through with that. I kind of left it in the past. And I would say we're pretty good now. We're not as close because not only did I not grow up with him in the house, but like 3-4 years ago, he moved to Mexico. So the distance right now is even bigger. And I only see him when I visit like once or twice a year.
How was that? Like when he told you the news of like, mija, me voy pa Mexico. How did he tell you the news? How did you react? Tell us a little bit about that.
At first, I didn't take it too personally. I didn't think about it too much. I was like, it's not going to be any different. You know, de por sí, I only see him every weekend. It's not going to be that much. But then after he moved, the like first or second month in is when I really started to feel it. And I was like, wait, he's not down the street anymore. Like, I'm not going to see him as often anymore. I did get a little sad. I did get a little down. And I still do miss him, I will say. But again, I feel like this distance that we have created between me and him is kind of better for the both of us as well.
For anyone that grew with divorced parents, what piece of advice can you give them if they're struggling with trying to really accept the fact that their parents are no longer together?
Honestly, I feel like the younger you are going through that, it may seem very hard just because you don't understand the full situation of it.
Yeah.
But growing up, one day it'll just click to you and you'll realize that that was the best situation for everybody involved. For you, your parents, your family. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's completely normal. And it shouldn't affect you who you are as a person, or it shouldn't affect your future either. You'll be perfectly fine.
Vamos a empezar contigo, Jonathan. Ya quiero empezar a conocerte a ti un poquito más. Vamos a empezar también del principio. You know, cuéntanos un poquito más de tu infancia. What did your childhood look like? What were things you liked doing? Where did you grow up? Cuéntanos.
My childhood's way different from Dulce. She grew up in maybe like tons of different houses. I grew up in one house and one house only my whole life since I was born to now. I'm still in that house. And I was outside. I knew the kids that I lived around. I went to one school and one school only from pre-K to 8th grade. I played sports. Everything was a lot different for me. I feel like, and meeting Dulce made me more thankful and more grateful for everything in a way, because I didn't realize it at the time, but my parents I don't think I seen them argue not one time. And to this day, like, I'm really grateful for that, because it did help me. Nowadays, I'm very patient with her. I try to be the best person to her. And that's all in a result of who my dad was to my mom. he was the best person to her. So I grew up playing sports, you know, being an outside kid. I was tremendo, ADHD out the roof, and I couldn't sit down. I was outside injuring myself, hurting myself. Never broke any bones, but I was outside all the time. I remember I would wake up during summertime. I'd leave outside. My mom would be like, "You're not leaving until you do the dishes, or you got to do a chore around." I'd wake up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., get the dishes washed, and then I'd be outside all day, probably till like 8 p.m. or whenever my mom would call me back. My dad would have like a whistle for me, and like I already knew the whistle. If I heard it down the street, I'd come back. And then that's kind of how I grew up, though. I just, you know, stick to playing out. I was always outside, getting dirty, being a kid.
What sports did you play growing up?
Pretty much every sport. I did soccer, I did boxing. I would play basketball, not for any teams though. I live right next to a park, so all the kids, all the neighborhood kids would be there. We'd play volleyball one day, soccer the next, dodgeball the next day, and it was always sports, whatever sport. So I have two stepbrothers, one stepbrother and one stepsister, and then I have one half brother and then another brother, full brother. And one is like 24, I think. He's the one that lives with me. And then I have a half brother. He'll come to the US to visit for like 6 months. And he's like a backpacker, like a traveler. So he'll travel for the next 6 months. We don't even know. He'll just post and he'll be like in Africa, Egypt. I have a sister who she's been all over. She was in Michigan growing up. She was around more than my other two siblings. She ended up going to South Carolina, came back, surprised us. She was pregnant, I guess. And she came back with a baby, and we were like, what the heck? Then she ended up leaving again to Mexico because I think her husband's family was like sick, so they ended up leaving. She came back, and now she's in Cali. She's in Santa Cruz.
What was your relationship with them growing up? Like, do you feel like you had a good relationship with your siblings, or was it kind of like everyone just kind of doing their own thing?
Well, it's because my mom and dad had me really like much older. I think my dad was like 42 or something once he had me. With Luis, my brother that's at my house, we were pretty close, but we were also very, very different. He was more of a inside kid playing like video games, a nerd. Like he liked school a lot. I hated school. So me and him were like very close. Obviously, we lived together and our house isn't huge. Like we're there all the time. But I was outside, he was inside, and then he was in the books, I wasn't, and stuff like that. And my sister, she was much older, so she ended up being like kind of like another mother figure in a way, you know. And my other brother, he was like the bad one in the family, the other one, not the backpacker. I had another brother, and he's in Mexico now, but he was like more outside too. But he was older, so he would, he was already living on his own, working on his own, and so I didn't really like talk much with him. But he came around, and we were all pretty close. We all had a good relationship. We didn't really argue. Obviously, I think I argued more with Luis, my other brother, because he's only 2 years older, and you know how that goes. But we were all pretty close because I look at her family and they're all very close. Every Sunday they get together to this day, and it's like all the little cousins, the aunts, the uncles, everyone's together. And it's hectic and it's chaos, but it's like very family
like loving chaos. It's like, oh, hay un desmadre cuando se junta la familia.
Since I met her family's always been like that, and I fell in love. I was like, our family wasn't always like, oh, let's get together. And we had our cousins that we would get together with for like all the holidays and stuff like that. My uncle ended up getting deported, so they all left, and then we all kind of got separated. So I had no one else like my age. So then our family wasn't really like all close. It was more so like just the siblings and stuff, and they were much older, so we were apart. So when I met Dulce, I was like, yo, like, her family's so nice, and like I have people my age here, and like growing up I was very spoiled. Like I wouldn't say like, oh, I walk in a store and if I want it I got it, but if I wanted some shoes, my mom would be like, okay, we'll get those for you. It was like a two shoes a year type of thing. Like once for like the beginning of school, and then once you get out. I was more spoiled though, because I didn't know that. I didn't realize that until I met Dulce, that I was like, yo, I was very spoiled. I got everything I wanted, and I was spoiled with tons of love by my parents. I was much closer to my mom because my mom was an outgoing person. She liked being outside as well. She liked being at the parties and stuff like that. And my dad was more of like the homebody, more he works from home. He's a mechanic. He liked being at home, just working all the time. And then he didn't really like going out. He would just kind of work, and he liked chilling and drinking his 2-3 beers a day, and a normal Mexican dad. My mom, I was super close. She would call me her chicle because I was always stuck on her. She would go to the garage sales or stores, and I just remember that all the time. And it was like, yeah, I'm going. I'd be running out she'd be out, I'm leaving, and I'd be running out with putting on my shoes. And there I go chasing her. I was stuck on her. I was a mommy's boy for sure.
Quiero platicar de un tema un poquito más sensible para ti, you know,
Mhm.
if you're comfortable talking about it. You know, me estabas contando that when you were 12 years old, you lost your mom. Before we get into that, you know, cuéntanos un poquito más what your mom meant to you, you know, and when you started seeing things getting hard for her, qué es lo que tenía, qué complicaciones you saw her live prior to, you know, passing away.
So yeah, like I said, I was very close to my mom, and then she was working at a factory job. She was the janitor at it's like a 4-wheeler production company, and she was cleaning the bathrooms. And I just remember she would always say like, because she had cervical cancer, she would tell my parents and my dad, and I would remember her talking about it like, hey, I'm bleeding out of the normal, like, you know, it's supposed to be a period, but it's like, I don't think this is normal. So we kind of like kept in mind, and we would take her to the doctor, but the doctors would always be like, no, this is normal. You just have like a heavy flow or whatever.
Like a heavy flow.
One day I remember she goes to work and she comes back and she's like, yeah, so I had to leave because I'm like bleeding and I have clots. Like there's clots in my blood. And we were all like, well, I don't think that's very normal. You know, obviously you bleed tissue and stuff, but it's not normal to be bleeding clots the size of golf balls or whatever. It's, you know, so we take her to the hospital and she's like, no, I'm not leaving until like I figure it out. Cause they would always send her home like, oh, you know, like you're fine. They send her home. She'd be like, I'm not leaving until I figure out what's really wrong. Like, if you guys have to send me somewhere else, do that. But I'm not, I want, you know, an answer. I don't remember they ended up telling her that she had cancer, but she told us, like, she came with the news. I don't know if it was immediately or a little after, but she ended up telling us, me and my brother, that, you know, that she did have cancer. And we obviously, like, we're kids. In my head, it automatically resorts to death. Like, when we think of cancer, it's like, she's going to die.
What was your reaction when she told you?
Well, obviously, we were just sad, crying, and we were like, but she made sure that she was strong, and she was like, no, this is nothing, it's just a sickness, it's like having a flu, and I'm gonna get over it and we're gonna be good, like there's no problem. And I mean, that helped a lot. My mom like really influenced me to, like, if she was happy I was happy, if she was sad I was sad. So she felt really good about it, so it kind of calmed me down a little bit, but it definitely was on my mind. And like I remember, like, I was at school crying the next day and I was just thinking about it. I was overthinking it. I'm an overthinker. Then she started her treatments, and then she was, you know, little by little she would be like, hey, I feel better. Like sometimes she would feel way worse, and then I would see that and she wouldn't tell me she felt, we just saw it, you know, like we would just be like, oh, she doesn't feel good. And then eventually, like, the cancer got like a lot more rough. It came stronger,
aggressive.
Yeah. And so she had to start like her chemotherapy and radiations and stuff like that. And then like she was like, oh, I have to shave my head, but she would always make it like fun, or like make it like a
like nonchalant, almost like if it's not like
kinda,
a big deal,
just
even
positive.
though it is positive. Yeah.
So she would be like, oh, like, you want to shave my head? Like, it'd be cool, you could shave my head. And I would shave her head. She was like cool about it. She was like, I'm gonna do my makeup and I'm gonna put my Ray-Bans. She was like a big fan of Ray-Bans. And she's like, I'm gonna put my Ray-Bans on and I'm gonna look good. I just bought these hats, like I'm gonna wear them. And I remember all my aunts were like, oh, you can get wigs, like, and make them look nice. And she was like, no, I don't want no wigs. I want to embrace this. Like, it's nice. I have a good head shape and this and that. And she rocked it. She would put her makeup on. She would put her glasses, her big old Ray-Bans on. She had some huge Ray-Bans, and she would. That's just who she became. She was the person that rocked her. You know, whoever she was gonna do. She didn't like to fake it. She didn't want to portray someone she wasn't. You know.
You know, before she passed away, obviamente, she's going through chemo. You're seeing these drastic changes. It's serious. Did you, at that moment, understand, like, oh shit, this is what's really going on? Or were you like very stuck in like a kid mentality where you're like, oh, I think my mom's sick. She sometimes feels good, sometimes she feels bad, but I think she'll be okay? Or did you kind of like ever have moments where maybe you like investigated and were like, oh shit, like this is serious? What was going on, you know, during that period in your head?
She actually beat cancer the first time. She beat it once, and we were happy. We celebrated. By this time, I was already in middle school. I think I was in 6th grade. And she surprised us with a sign. And she said, like, your mom has no more cancer. I remember she even, like, recorded a video. And she was like, yeah, your mom doesn't have any cancer anymore, cancer-free. I don't know what it said, but we were all happy. We were cheering. We even went to dinner, and, like, it was just a good time. I don't recall the exact time frame, but it might have been from, like, 6 months to a year, where she ended up coming back and saying, like, you know what, they said the cancer came back. And usually when it comes back to kill. And that's when it really hit me. And by then I was older. I think I was like 11 maybe at the time, and I was like, that's when it hit me. I was like, this is not gonna be easy. Reality really hit me, and I was like, she might like pass away, you know, like we're gonna fight, but she might pass away. But in my head, like, yeah, I still had that kid mentality at the end of the day, and she still seemed like strong. But by then she had so many surgeries, and you could just tell like she had aged from how many surgeries and radiations and chemotherapy, because that does kill you. Like, it's very hard on your body. So she did age a lot. She got more wrinkly. She became more fragile, more weaker in a way. And we noticed it, and we knew that. In reality, we kind of had that. I had that in the back of my mind, and eventually she ended up passing away. We were actually going to go to Mexico because the doctors here told her, like, there's nothing else we can do. Like, we tried everything. You don't withstand another surgery. She was like, I'm going to go to Mexico and I'm going to try to find like a natural remedy, something natural. We'll figure it out. And I was like, yeah, I'm going. I'm going with you. We're going to go. I'll leave everything. I don't care. Let's go, me and you. My parents didn't have papers. So my dad was like, well, I'll stay here, work, and I'll send you money and we'll figure it out. And she was like, let's go. So our plan is to leave the next day. We're packing. We went somewhere, I think to a store to pick up like the last couple of things we needed. And I just remember her saying like, oh, I'm really bleeding. There was like a towel in the back of the van. And I remember her grabbing it and kind of wrapping it around herself like a diaper. And I think my aunt was driving us or something. And she's like, no, like it's like bleeding a lot. It's going through not only my pants, my underwear, but it's going through the towel,
Yeah.
you know? And that's when we were like, this is not good. Like, this is really bad. So we went to the hospital, and that's when they like rushed her to the ER. And
you were seeing all this happen?
oh yeah, I was seeing all of it. And I was like, this is not good. They put her in her room, and then they tell, like, you know, they're working on her. And in my head, it's like, oh, it's another, you know,
Procedure.
it's just another, it's going to be another procedure or something. But they ended up telling us like, there's nothing we can do. If we do another procedure, she's not making it. It was to a point because they would always take her IV and stuff, and it was to a point where even her veins would like reject the IV, like they would bounce
They were too
away.
thin at that point.
Yeah, at that point it was too weak because they would hook her up to blood bags because she was bleeding, and so they would hook her up. And it got to the point where they were one day or not one day at the hospital, they were like, we're kind of in the nicest way, and I understand it. They were like, we're wasting blood in a way. You know, this blood could be used for patients,
someone that has like a chance of living type thing.
And she's not. So like and she was like, you know what, I accepted it, like just disconnect it. And she just said her like goodbyes and all that. My sister was there, and my aunts and uncles, and we all said our goodbyes. I was like 12 at the time. Yeah, I was 12. And yeah, they disconnected her, and we just knew.
Do you remember that moment that you had to say your goodbyes to your mom? Was it something that in the moment you couldn't believe yourself? Because I'm sure, like, you know, obviously you had been dealing with this situation with your mom for a while now, but I'm sure, like, when you're there and you're like, oh shit, I'm saying goodbye to my mom, did it sink in immediately, or was it something that you were like, what the fuck is going on? Like, did it take a little while to process?
I think we got to the hospital like around 8 p.m. And by the time all this happened, it was like 3 a.m. So I was sleeping, and my dad woke me up, and he's like, hey, like, you have to say goodbye to her now. And I just remember, just walking in the room, and she just told me like to take care, and just said her goodbyes and stuff. And I just hugged her. My sister was there, and I just hugged her, and I couldn't see it. I didn't want to see anything, so I just kind of walked out the room. And yeah, that was pretty much it. I don't remember like really like what I felt in the moment or anything, but I was crying. I was sad.
First of all, I'm so sorry, you know, that you had to go through that. Did she pass away like immediately after they disconnected her, or was it something that like was gradually?
Yeah, like she slowly like faded away in a way.
At that moment.
Yeah.
Like after.
Yeah, it was there though. It was within the hour. Like it wasn't.
Oh,
days
so it was pretty like.
Yeah. So once I said goodbye, she.
You know, what
maybe
was,
like an hour or two.
How did the days after look for you? Like, how was your grieving process like?
So that is where I feel like I messed up because, you know, there's not ever a good or perfect age to lose your parents, I feel like. But I was in an age where I was young enough to understand and young to where my heart is still like, you know, very small in a way, but also old enough to understand and know what's going on. And so in my head, automatically, it's like, if my dad sees me crying, it's going to kill him. Because my dad was crying, you know, he was with her for so long. And if he sees me crying, I was like, it's going to kill him. So I am not going to cry. I'm going to try to hold back. So in the funeral, I'm like holding back. I try to make it seem like I didn't know what was going on. Like I was too young. So I kind of would just like, I would wander around the funeral home. I went downstairs and I would just like eat snacks or whatever. And I remember just trying to stay like strong, very strong,
Like
very strong.
bottling in your emotions.
Yeah.
Did you have a moment where it was too much to bottle and you're like, you know what, I need to let it out?
I think so, but it was always like just thinking about my dad. Okay, I can't let him see me like this. It's gonna kill him. I want to make it seem like, you know, I'm too young to understand. I think that's when it affected me a lot, because nowadays I don't feel much emotion. It's kind of like a steady line. I don't feel like happy or sad. It's kind of always just like a steady line.
He tells me that after his mom's passing, his emotions kind of just went numb.
You know, I can't relate losing a parent, but I've lost a grandparent. I feel like I used to feel so much before, because I can relate to that emotion feeling where it's like nothing is ever like, how do I explain it? Like it becomes a thing where it's like you kind of don't feel shit. Like the good and even the good stuff, like you kind of like, oh, I'm happy, but it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like you kind of just get stuck on like a airplane mode is what I like to kind of like describe it. Like even when I was grieving, I remember my grandpa passed away, very much like you. I cried because I kind of grew up and was raised by my grandparents. And, you know, when he passed away like 2 years ago, when I found out about the news, I cried maybe for like an hour. That day I had a scheduled filming day, like for the podcast, and I couldn't cancel it. I mean, I feel like I could have, and I feel like my guest would have like understood, but I think mentally and as a professional, I was like, oh my God, like this person flew in from Arizona. Like, how am I gonna like cancel on them, like if that's what they came to do here? I even say like even that day was so healing for me, because my guest that I had that day was just a very happy episode, and it was like a funny episode. So I feel like in that moment I kind of also forgot that like, oh shit, my grandpa passed away this morning. But even afterwards I feel like I cry very little now. I feel like if I cry maybe like once a year, and I'll cry for like a minute and then I'm like, move it on. Like you don't have time to feel emotions.
Yeah.
And I feel like for you, obviously it happened very young, that it was probably even harder for you, you know? And as a kid, we try to, you know, be strong for ourselves, for our parents, or so people. And I feel like for you too, as a guy, it has a bigger factor too. You know, you also don't want to feel like, oh,
Weaker.
you're a baby or a punk or whatever it is for crying, even though you were so, it would have been valid if you would have cried out, you know? How was healing from losing your mom, you know, for you? Do you feel like it's something that you're still trying to heal from? Did you have a moment where you also accepted, you know, the fact that maybe she's no longer here with us on earth, but is still with you?
I thought I would, because my mom was very like spiritual, you know, very religious. So I thought like, oh, I'm gonna get signs from her. Se me va a aparecer en la mañana, this and that.
Or like
but,
in a dream.
Yeah, or something. But I never really did. But I will say, it was like, in a way, one of the, how do I say it without, you know, I don't want to sound like come off as rude, but in a way, like my healing process was way different. All I wanted to do after that was chase my dreams. Like it was just like, I need to get done what I told her I was going to get done. And since a kid, I would always tell her like, oh, I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to be a soccer player. I'm going to do something, but I'm going to do it. Like I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be in the spotlight. I'm going to be rich. I always told her I was going to be successful. And she always told me like, you are, you know? And after that, it was like, all I wanted to do was just that. There was nothing you could have told me or done that would make me change my mind. Like I was going to make things happen, and I was going to, by all means, you know, I was going to make it happen. And I started working, and I started really trying to brainstorm what I wanted to do. I tried a lot of things. I started like a band.
You're like, how the fuck am I going to do what I told my mom I was going to do?
Like, I was like, I'm going to do something. I was very inspired by Justin Bieber growing up. I don't know what it was, but I even had his hair. It was bad, but I still get roasted to this day about it. But yeah, I was like, I'm going to do something. I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to be a soccer player, a boxer, something. I'm going to do it though. And then I started cutting hair. I became very, very good at it. It's kind of like natural. And I became like one of the best in like where I'm at. And that's what I started doing. I started making content out of it. And then I met Dulce at 15, and it was like, it clicked. Like that was like, okay. Her mom told me like, oh, Dulce always wanted to be an influencer. She would always pick up my phone, and my storage would be full of like just videos of her vlogging, según ella.
There still are.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you feel like Dulce also helped with like your healing process? Like because you met her kind of like 2-3 years after you lost your mom, no?
My mom, like I said, was my comfort in a way, you know, and she was everything. And I kind of lost that because me and my dad were very close, but he was more of a father figure. You know, it's different. A mother and a father is much
More
different.
nurturing.
Yeah. So when I met Dulce, it was like having that comfort again. It was like, oh, okay, like I have someone that I can like cry on and stuff like that.
Without feeling judged from
Yeah,
like
for
a
sure.
masculine figure. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And so she became that person for me instantly, and it was like it just clicked. And then she wanted to do what I wanted to do, and it was like, yeah, this is my person. Like there's no way that it's not. I'm gonna make it like this is gonna be my person no matter what.
You know, it's so funny you mentioned something. You said you didn't want to come off rude with the way you healed. And I think the way you healed, though, is a super valid, reason. I've said this so many times, a lot of times actually. I feel like I also did the same thing as you. Like my grandpa, because at one point they lived with me, my grandparents. When grandparents don't really understand like what you really do. Like, let's say if you work at the front desk at a doctor, they'd be telling everybody like that you're the doctor. Like, like, mi nieta es doctora. Like, no, mi amor, she just checks in patients. Type thing. My grandpa obviously knew that I did social media, and like he obviously knew that like I was, I guess, popular, but he thought I was like Talia famous. Like he thought like, no, mijo. He would always tell me like, mijo, tú no puedes salir a la calle looking like a bum because like you have an image to uphold. Right? And I would always be like, bro, it's not that serious. Like I just make little videos. And he always really believed in my vision. He always used to be like, mi nieto, mi guapo nieto, like whatever, right? Now that I think about it, when we first moved in to this studio 2 years ago, the month that we finally started filming, that's the month he passed away. And my grandpa always believed in me. He always was like, no, you're going to be huge. Like you're huge or whatever. And I feel like I grieved the same way as you because after my grandpa died, I was like, okay, I need to work my fucking ass off. Like I need to make my grandpa proud because he saw me as this big shit. So I want to make sure that like
you become that.
I become that. And I feel like it's very valid. And I feel like a lot of people sometimes, like maybe might see like, oh, you didn't love them or like you didn't really care. But it's like, no, that's the way I want to, keep their legacy going. Like they may not be here, but I know that them seeing like maybe your mom, even just us having this conversation right now, maybe she's looking up there and like, wow, like mi hijo is doing what he told me he was going to do and is proud. And I really do feel like it's a valid way of grieving. You know what I mean? Yeah. What piece of advice can you give anyone, maybe a teen or just anyone that has lost a parent that feels things won't get better or just feels lost because of everything that's going on right now?
If I could give advice, it'd definitely be to cry, to not be scared of your emotion and to let it out and to take your time and not feel like you have to hold anything in, because I feel like that's what kind of messed me up in a way. It makes me, like we said, it makes you kind of numb. If I could tell you, it's that it gets better, and no one wants to hear that, but realistically it does. Use it to your advantage, make what you can out of it, because it's different when you tell someone, hey, I'm gonna do this. If you tell your dad, like if I told my dad, hey dad, I'm gonna do this, and he's like, yeah, like I can see you doing it, I believe in you, and that's one thing, and it feels amazing. But it's another when you take that and you get inspired off of a death or something like that. It's like you can't let it down. There's no way that you can fail now. No matter what, you're gonna make it happen.
And I know you're making your mom proud. Thank you so much for opening up. You were very young when it happened. And I'm sure a lot of people, if they can't relate because they haven't lost a parent, I'm sure they've lost someone where they feel like, you know what, like I totally understand, Quiero platicar un poquito. Acá la tenemos muy calladita, la Candy. Les digo, amigas, we're going to go jump back and forth. Quiero platicar contigo. Me estabas contando that growing up, you had sleep paralysis. Cuéntanos un poquito más de eso. What was your first experience like? What happened? What did you feel in that moment? Did you understand and know when it happened that that's what it was? Or did you have to go do some digging? Did you have to go get diagnosed? What was that whole experience like?
My first experience with sleep paralysis, I was definitely in middle school. I would say maybe 13, 14, around there. 12, 14 is in high school now. I remember I was laying down, and the way that my bed was, my window was right here, right next to my bed. So my bed was kind of stuck to the wall. I remember I woke up, I was laying on my back. I couldn't move. So I was already like, okay, this is weird. And then I look on my window and I see a shadow, like a silhouette. if somebody was standing right outside of the window. So I started freaking out, but I can't move, I can't stand, I can't make noise or anything. Finally, what felt for like an eternity later, I'm able to snap out of it. But when I snapped out of it, I realized that there was nobody out the window. So I didn't want to panic too much. I remember I got up, I walked to her room, and then I just turned right back around. I was like, no, she's gonna think I'm crazy. And then after that, I kind of stopped for a minute. And then we moved to an apartment, like I said, one of the many homes that I was living in. And I was starting to get it again. I would just see stuff. I would see a lot of shadows behind my doors. I would see them by my windows, the same thing as always. And it just became such a frequent thing to the point where it just doesn't even scare me anymore. It's like a normal in a way. I wake up, I can't move, and I'm like, okay.
Does
No,
it
it's like a
happen
joke.
often?
Yeah, it does. To this day, it still does.
Like before you started to know what it was, did you ever feel like something was wrong with you? Like, did you feel like, oh shit, like, what did I do? Alguien me va a venir a agarrar de la pata, because that's scary, especially
Yeah.
being so young. I would have freaked out. I don't care if my mom would have thought I was crazy.
I did, but like I said, since I grew up on YouTube, I always like those little scary movies. I'm very much into horror, spirituality, all of that. So I had an idea already of what it was. I'm like, wait, was that sleep paralysis? Obviously, I looked more into it. You know, I looked online and everything, and I confirmed that it was. I was telling my mom about it. She didn't know what it was, but she just kind of, I think it's the fact that she didn't see me as scared.
Yeah.
Why she didn't worry. She was
Like,
like,
why
oh.
are you enjoying this? Literally.
You know, she'd like pray over me and everything, but that was like most of it.
Did anyone be like, oh, she's possessed? Because, like, why is she saying shit like that? Like, what was that experience? Like, when you would tell people, what would they tell you?
Like I said, I think it's the fact that I have never really taken it that serious and been scared, because I've gone through over many other things. You know how some mental disorders are like genetic and stuff? I've opened to some concerns about that here and there, but when it came to sleep paralysis, not really. I feel like I come off with it as casual to them. It's just like, oh, she's fine though. So
when you would look it up, does it affect anything in like your body and like the way you function like afterwards, or it just kind of just affects you in that moment?
I would say scientifically, from what I know, it shouldn't affect you, but I'm very big on my sleep. I'm the type of person, I need my 8 hours minimum. When I do have those frequently, I do get worried that I don't get enough, because when I tell you I cannot function off enough sleep, I can't. There was one period where I was getting it very frequently and I did feel myself more tired, this and that. I don't know what I did though. I don't remember if maybe I did a certain prayer or what, and it kind of stopped for a moment. And now it just happens, but casually. I would say like twice a month, maybe.
So you feel like nothing triggers it. It just kind of fucking happens.
Yeah.
That's scary. I feel like I would... Is there like any like medication for that? Because I feel like I would be panicking. Ahorita lo está contando bien suavecito, amigas. But I feel like that first time I would have been like panicking. Because then I would have started thinking like there's something wrong with me.
Like I said, it just happens so much to a point where it kind of became a norm thing. Sometimes I'll see scary things. What happens a lot is whatever I see or hear, it'll mimic somebody I know. It's times where I hear my mom talking to me, or I literally see her walk in my room. I snap out of it and she's not there. Like, she left for work since the morning. There's only been one time, which I don't know if you guys follow me on TikTok, but I did a story time. This is kind of embarrassing.
No,
It
tell
mimicked
us.
Jonathan. So I was, again, laying frozen. I'm like, okay, I'm getting sleep paralysis. Here we go. Like, let's get it over with.
Hurry up.
And so I'm
Do what you
like,
gotta
I'm
do.
bored. So like I said, I woke up sleep paralysis, and then I see Jonathan walk in. But at this point, I'm confused because it has never mimicked Jonathan in any type of way. So I was like, wait, am I even dreaming, or is this actually real life? He walks in, but from the angle I can't see his face. Me pasa así de encima and lays next to me because I have a queen bed. So there's space for him. I feel him here. I feel his weight. I feel him breathing. He talks to me. He starts whispering in my ear. He's like, good morning.
Oh, baby
this and
spoon
that.
and everything.
Yeah.
It's
He's
not
like,
even
good
him.
morning. Oh my God. So I'm very, very confused, but I can't move. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm going through it, but Jonathan is actually here.
Like, he's probably like trying to calm me down or something.
Yeah.
Like you were thinking that.
Yeah. But this is so embarrassing.
Wait, what?
I feel his hand go in my pants. Yeah. And I like feel him like
Freakiest.
in there.
You're not having sex with the fantasma or anything.
So this is one of my main experiences where I'm actually freaking out. That's when I start getting really scared. And I have these little triggers that I do to snap out of it faster. I'll start trying to move my fingers or my toes, and usually it helps me snap out of it. I cannot. It felt like we were there for an eternity. I finally snap out of it. I look over and there's no one there.
She's off.
Open sesame with her legs all up. Do you feel like it's like a conscious thing? It's kind of like when they say when you go to sleep, you kind of, if you dream a lot, you kind of can dream about like the last thing like you talked about or like the last thing you like pictured in your head. Do you feel like it's like a conscious thing or like?
Maybe in a way, it's very random.
Like maybe you're horny that day. Just kidding. No, like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, let's say like you want to sleep scared of something. Maybe like that'll come into your sleep paralysis and maybe scare you more or like whatever it is.
It's very random. I truly don't think it is because like I said, sometimes it's my mom, sometimes it's one of my siblings or something. It's super random. There's not a certain pattern that I've been able to catch up on. Yeah, that experience was crazy. That's the first time he's ever been in it. And maybe I was in heat that night, but no. Girl. The second I started feeling him go in my pants, like I started panicking. I knew something wasn't right.
What happened afterwards? Like, did your anxiety go like through the roof when you got up and you're like, dude, I felt that shit. It felt so fucking real. And having to separate, what you felt and what you experienced with like the reality of what happened. Does that get confusing or?
It did. I finally snapped out of it. Like I said, that's the first time that I was really scared. I was, like breathing heavy. I got up. I immediately started texting him and I got really worried. I was like, okay, if in the next couple of days, if I get it again and it's something similar, something serious, then maybe I should start looking into it. I'm very anti-medication. I'm one of those people where I don't really like that stuff. So I'll try to stay as natural as I can. But so far, thankfully, ever since that, the other times have been pretty normal.
Have you ever had a situation where like maybe someone like a family member, him actually sees you experiencing it and is like trying to wake you up? Can they wake you up? Or like, what would happen if like, let's say like you're sleeping, y te pasa, and he's there with you?
That's happened where he's been there, but he can't tell. There was one time where he was awake, he was on his phone. And I remember I was like, John, like I tried to move, I tried to call him, but he couldn't. And then I finally snapped out of it. I was like, I was just in sleep paralysis. You were there fucking scrolling on your phone like nothing. Literally.
Wait, so you'll have like your eyes closed y todo? Or like you'll be like...
I think it's when your brain is asleep, but your body's awake.
Yeah. That's pretty much what happened. So I'm pretty sure.
Or no.
Not only that...
Vice versa, I think.
No. It is. Your brain is awake, but your body's asleep.
Yeah.
When I was little, I don't know if I still do. Maybe you can fact check me. I used to sleep with my eyes open.
Oh yeah, still to this day.
Still?
Oh my god, you know what's so crazy? My mom used to take care of some girls, and they used to sleep with their eyes open. I remember one time we went to like the fucking store, and we're like, "Oh, we'll be back." We got back. They were all scared. I'm like, "Girl, you were awake," and they're like, "Oh, we forgot to tell you, we sleep with our eyes open."
Yeah.
How do you miss that, right? Like,
right?
Yeah, she's like sleeps and like all I see is the white because her eyes roll back and I'm like, oh hell no.
Yeah, during sleepovers, every time when I would sit with my cousins or friends or something, I would always get made fun of it. They'd be like, "Girl, I have so many videos of me just like." Aside from that, there's only been one time where I have had an entity, like the basic, I guess, the scary paranormal experiences where something gets on top of you and starts choking you. And I've had that once. It was when I was younger. I don't remember it that well, but it was scary. Those are like my top experiences. That one with him and the other.
I feel like I'd be hella fucking scared. I might take it serious, babe. No. I'd be, especially if it's still happening. I feel like that would exhaust me. Just like the thought of like, it can happen tonight. It can happen tonight. Is that like a thought? Like, let's say you go to sleep tonight. You're like, oh, let's see if it happens. Like, does it create anxiety around sleeping for you?
When I was around 15, with that time where I was having frequently, I definitely had a lot of anxiety. I was kind of scared of falling asleep. Now it's back to the normal where it's like once or twice a month. Now I don't have much anxiety. Like if it happens, it happens. But again, I'm a very logical person. So I feel like if it starts happening to an extent where it affects my personal life, my health, my sleep quality and everything, I'm going to get it checked.
What piece of advice can you give anyone who has ever struggled with sleep paralysis or is currently struggling with it, that feels, that sense of anxiety or that sense of like, oh my God, what's going on with me? What advice can you give them?
A lot of people tend to automatically go to the spiritual side. Maybe you think there's an entity or something in your house. I'm religious. And I'm very spiritual. I'm very much into the ghost stuff, like I said. But like I said, I'm also very logical. So it's completely normal scientifically. If you want help for it, you can always reach out for it. If you want little tactics, like I said, trying to move your fingers and your toes will help you snap out of it faster. But yeah, if it doesn't affect your life personally, if it doesn't affect your health, it's scary. At the end of the day, it's easier said than done. Whoever isn't used to an experience is going to get really scared. Yeah. But overall, you're fine.
You'll be good.
You'll be good. You wake up, you forget about it.
You're like, just take it as a VR experience,
Yeah.
literally. I'm like, just go to sleep with the VR headset so you don't know if it was the VR or not. No, because that is scary. I feel like obviously we're not taking it, or we'll say little jokes, but it can be something that people can, really get affected by. You know what I mean? So if you really are struggling with something like that, you guys, like she said, if it's something that you feel like is stopping you from living your normal life, then go get, maybe some professional help, or like figure out ways or triggers that like help you get out of those situations. We're gonna jump otra vez para acá. Andamos así, amigas. De Team Marín de dos mil. Back to Jonathan, me estaban contando ayer, that growing up you experienced a school shooting. Cuéntanos un poquito más de eso. ¿Qué es lo que pasó? Where were you at when it happened? In that moment, did you realize what it was, or did it take you a moment to be like, oh shit, like I'm experiencing a school shooting?
I went to Oxford High School, and this was my senior year. I was already 4 years into that school. We were already getting weird signs at that school. So we had a little courtyard because the school was like a circle. We had 2 courtyards because it was like a hallway that went through the middle. And in one of the courtyards, there was like, they found like a deer head. And you can't get into that courtyard if you can only get in through the doors. So that means someone climbed the roof and like dropped the deer head or something. So,
oh shit.
Yeah, and they ended up finding the deer, I think like a mile down or like farther. So it was like,
it's next to the woods, right?
Yeah, so it's like, you know how heavy a deer head is? It's like, how do you get on the roof? And like, so I'm like, okay, so whoever's doing this is crazy. They're not just doing it just to like, do it. And then like a couple weeks or months later, the cafeteria bathroom, there was a jar with peat and a bird in it, like a dead bird. And so I'm like, okay, this school is weird. Like something's going on, And then, obviously, like I feel like all schools got threats, which is not good, but all schools would get threats. So like I'm already aware, and I'm like, how, I don't know, at least for me, when I was in school, like every classroom, I'd be like, okay, if something were to happen, what would I do? I feel like everyone has a plan. Yeah, so I'm like making a game plan. Like I'm hiding on top of those cabinets. I'm doing this if anything were to happen. So I'm already aware. The day of the shooting, I remember we got dismissed from lunch, and we usually get dismissed like 10 minutes before the classes leave. So we have to like line up outside of the classes. Mine doesn't have people in it before. There's not a class before, so it's always open. And I remember walking by, and there was this one chair that was like a comfortable chair. It was like a spinning chair. Everyone would race to get that chair, it was a comfortable chair. So I remember walking by and looking and seeing if the chair was there or not. And if it wasn't, I usually go to the bathroom and stay there till, class was over or whatever. If the chair was there, I just go and get the chair. So I remember I'm walking by this day and I see that chair and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get the chair. So I sit down in the chair. As soon as I sit down, maybe like 3 minutes later, I hear like 3 loud bangs. It's like bang, bang, bang. And in my head, I stand up and I'm panicking. I'm like, oh hell no, this is going down right now. And I peek outside my classroom. It sounded like someone banged on the locker, like really loud though. So I peek outside, I stand up. I remember I peeked outside my classroom and all the kids are just staring at me and no one's like reacting or anything. And the bang stopped. So I was like, I felt kind of dumb. I was like, oh shit, like I look dumb now. So I go back to my seat and everyone's just looking at me and I just like, oh shit. As soon as I sit down, you just hear like bang, 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 bang. Like you just hear a whole bunch of bangs and I'm like, oh hell no. Like this is a shooting. So I get up and I go peek out the door again. And that's when I see like kids running and the teacher across the hall, she's telling me like go inside. And I close the door and I remember I look behind me and everyone's still sitting. And I'm like, what is going on right now? Like, why are you guys not
like,
panicking?
Why are y'all not panicking?
So I was like, they're shooting. And then I grabbed there's like a night lock that you would put and it would go on like on the wall and the door. So like no one could open it. And I remember I opened up the thing and I put it on the lock. And then I tell everybody like, they're shooting. We got to hide over here. And then we hid like in the corner, where the teacher's desk is. And I was just sitting there scared. I remember me and Dulce, I think we're like arguing that day. And I was like, they're shooting up the school. And she's like, she doesn't believe me. She's like,
we went to different high schools. Oh, okay. Mine is like, how long is it from?
It's probably like 10 minutes.
Yeah, so you probably thought like, oh, he just wants me to like not be mad anymore. Like he's trying to like take out any plática.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you even saying? And I wasn't in the text because I was also in class. I wasn't like fully in the convo. And then I just opened the phone and I see more text.
What
and like
did you
he's
think
serious.
in that moment? You're like, oh,
my
shit.
heart dropped. I'm like so confused on what's happening. And then a little bit after that, our school goes into lockdown and they tell everybody there's a shooting in Oxford right now. I start panicking so much. He tells me because the classroom that he's in, like he said, it's right next to the bathroom. It's just the hallway in between.
They get the news automatically and they go on lockdown. All the schools around go on lockdown. And so she goes on lockdown and I'm texting her. I'm like, they're shooting up the school. Like at this point in my head, I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen because I live in Pontiac and I'm not going to say it's like the trenches or whatever, but it's definitely not the suburbs, you know? And it's you get like crime rate, like the crime that goes like that happens there, and you get shootings, you get theft, stuff like that. So I hear gunshots. It's nothing new to me, but at the same time, I know that this is completely different. I know that where I'm from, if you hear gunshots, if it
You
has
just
nothing,
stay out the
yeah,
way.
if it has nothing to do with you, no one's gonna shoot at you for
Like
no
mind your
reason.
business
Yeah,
type
like
thing, yeah.
whatever. This is a whole different situation. I'm like, if I get seen, I'm dead. Like I'm gonna get shot at. So I'm panicking in a way. I'm like, holy shit, like there's no way this is happening. In my head, I'm like, there's no way. And then they tell us over the comm, like, we're going into a Alice lockdown. Like they said it's so calm though, and I'm like, what is going on? So I'm texting Lute, I'm like, I love you, like this and that. And then I think I'm there. I start seeing everyone's stories. It happens so quick. I start seeing all like my friends' stories, and they're already outside the school. And I'm like, why am I still in here? But I guess I was like near it, so there was like bodies and stuff around me, unfortunately. And so they had to wait until they cleared all that, until they, helped everyone. And then eventually they like knocked on the door and said like, open up. And I'm scared. I'm still like, no, we're
You're
not
like, what if
opening.
it's the shooter?
I don't
Yeah.
care. They're going to have to break this door down. No one's coming in here. Like we start hearing the radios and it's the cops and stuff. And then we had like a little curtain on our window. We had a substitute teacher. He like peeks through the window and then he sees that it's a sheriff, and then he lets him in. In my head, I still don't believe it though. So I'm like hiding, and then we're in a dark room for so long, and then they open the door and all I see is the light of the hallway and it shines through, so I'm like blinded in a way, and I'm like, oh shoot. And all I see is the silhouette of the cop with the gun, with the rifle, and I'm like, bro, I thought I was dead. I was like, yeah, I'm dead. But then it cleared up and it was the sheriff, and he was like, I need everybody to stand up, put your head down, and you guys aren't gonna look up. And then I remember walking out the classroom, they had it like boarded off by the like bodies. It was like military, like people, they're like all waiting there, and like they're not letting us see nothing. We have to look down. We're walking all the way down the hall to go through the main door. I'm on the opposite end of the school, so we're walking all the way to the main door. I just remember walking out the classroom, like there's no way this just happened. And then walking out the school, you see like helicopters, like SWAT trucks, like every vehicle you could ever think of. And I was like, what the hell just happened? And then we had to walk like down the street to like a Meijer that was nearby. And I remember seeing like my friends and stuff, and they're all like crying, hugging each other. And I'm like, holy shit, there's no way that just happened. And I just remember calling my dad, like, Dad, you gotta come pick me up. He's like, all right, I'm coming. He was like at AutoZone or something. He's like, all right, I'm on my way. And yeah, I remember my brother called me from Mexico because I guess my grandma saw it on the news, and then she told my brother. And then he called me and he was like, hey, is everything okay? And
did they ever get the shooter, or like?
yeah, he surrendered on the spot. I think the officer that worked in the office, he like ran over there, which is crazy. Like the shooter surrendered and he ended up getting taken, and yeah, unfortunately ended up killing 4 people in the school. So
oh shit.
Yeah, but
did they ever find like his motives? Was he the one that was doing all like that crazy weird shit?
no, that's the thing. They didn't link it to him. I don't think. Like they said that he had no motive. Like he just did it.
Wanted to shoot up a school.
guess
That is
so,
so
yeah.
sad, and it's crazy that like, you hear a lot about it, which we should hear about it less, so
Of
it could
course.
happen less,
it's
right? But,
unfortunately
like,
normalized.
It's unfortunate,
Mhm.
yeah, literally unfortunately normalized, and you hear, it happened often, but it is very scary, especially because these people that are doing that literally target a place where it's kids, right? Like it's like, not saying go do it somewhere else, but it's like kids go to school, to learn and to feel safe, and that's where they're choosing to like do it. Was it someone like that went to school?
Yeah,
Or
he
was it,
went
oh,
there.
he went to school.
Yeah. So I guess he like got sent to the office that day for something. Like I think he had a notebook
Yeah.
or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but I think he had a notebook, and it was something bad written in it, and they like called the parents, and the parents were like, okay, we'll pick him up like another day. They had a choice to pick him up that
Yeah.
day or something, and then they ended up getting sent to jail as well because they didn't.
Like negligence.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. Because it's like, how, if you're a student, I
Mhm.
didn't know it was a student, like how are you even obtaining a
Yeah.
gun? You know what I mean? Because how are the laws over there, like gun laws?
It's bad. Like everyone can get a gun. You can get a gun gifted to you. You can't buy legally a gun, like a pistol. You can't buy a pistol till you're 21. But you can buy an AR at like 18.
That's scary. I feel like guns to me, even like obviously California, I feel like I don't even know crazy too much the laws in California, but I know you can get them, but there's like a whole process for it. But I know in Texas, like I was just in Texas for my club hosting and my friends were telling me, oh yeah, just be careful. Like don't leave the club too late because, you know, in Texas, I mean, I'm sure it's like you guys, like people just be like in their car and like they'll be having like their gun. It's very like, even just if they're going to dinner, you'll see like their gun right there.
Everyone carries.
This is the way I think about it. Like, yeah, I get it. Like the whole everyone should have the right to carry arms, like all that stuff. But it's like not everyone has the emotional or also just like the ability to really carry it responsible because you see a lot of the time, especially at the clubs, people are drunk. People se quieren sentir con más huevos que otro. And they really do feel so ballsy with these guns, you know what I mean? And it's scary. How do you feel like that affected you afterwards? Do you feel like you were always on edge? Did it create anxiety? Did it create like some type of fear for you because you experienced something so close to you?
I mean, going through what I went through with my mom, it numbed me a lot. Yeah. And I feel like I should have been way more scared than what I was that day. I really wasn't. Like, I was scared, but it was like, oh, okay, if it, you know, if this is what it comes to, if this is my story, if this is how it's written, then I'm going to die. Like, okay. But it's crazy. After that, I wasn't really traumatized. I did have a little bit of PTSD, I think, because I remember one time, a couple months after when we were able to go back to school, there was like construction going on at the school. And I remember like hearing, they were like on the roof and I remember they were like banging or something. And we were all like ducking down and we were all scared. And I remember I think a teacher ran out and told him like stop or something. But yeah, I didn't really get nothing from it. It just, you know, it just definitely like, it didn't hit me till after. I remember coming home after the shooting. Obviously we went home early and I remember just posting on my story like, who needs a haircut? Like I'd rather work than...
Like you were so, what is it, like detached from the situation?
Yeah. And I remember Dulce telling me like, are you okay? Like she's trying to nourish me and comfort me and I'm just like, yeah, I'm good. Like, you know, at that point I didn't know who passed away or if anyone passed away. I didn't know anything. So I was just like, you know, hopefully no one got hurt, but I'm gonna just work and distract myself, like, you know.
He's definitely he's definitely always on edge every time we go out. I think it's a man thing, but after that it just spiked even more. He always has to be facing the exit. He's always looking around. Or maybe
he doesn't realize how much it really affected him.
Yeah,
maybe it didn't affect him emotionally.
No, and it does because there'll be bangs and I'll see his reaction. Yo soy bien asustona, so with any loud noise I'm like this, but he wasn't like that. He was very nonchalant. But now after that I definitely see him more and
like he's more attentive. Today's video is sponsored by Cash App. Are you tired of looking at your boring debit card que se mira rete simple? Pues yo no, mi amor. ¿Por qué? Porque con mi tarjeta de Cash App, I can personalize it, put my favorite emojis on it para que se mire rete cute. Cash App just released a new status program for the way people actually spend called Cash App Green. It unlocks new ways for you to pay, get rewarded, and easily grow or manage your money on your terms. Now, when you spend a total of $500 a month with the Cash App card or Cash Apple Pay, you earn Green status, which unlocks benefits like up to $200 to free overdraft coverage, higher borrowing limits, and custom personalized cashback offers every Friday at places you love to shop. Turn everyday spending into status with Cash App Green. Download Cash App today or visit cashapp.com/new to learn more about this and other great features launching now. Ustedes saben, amigas, lo mucho que me encanta Cash App. I love Cash App so much because it is so easy to use and so easy to send to your friends, your family members, or whoever you need to send money to, así de rápido. For a limited time, new Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use the code CashApp10 in their profile at sign up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial service platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's banks partners. Prepaid debit card issues by Student Bank members FDIC. Direct deposit, roundups, overdraft coverage, and discount codes provided by Cash App, A Block Inc. brand. Visit cashapp.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. Now let's get back to today's episode. Quiero conocerlos ya un poquito a ustedes juntos. Obviamente, a lot of people know you guys as a couple together. Yo me quiero saber todo el chisme desde el principio. ¿Cómo se conocieron? Who made the first move? What was each other's first impression? And how did he ask you out to be his girlfriend?
I was around I think 14 at the time, right? And her grandpa does construction. He does tape like mudding on drywall. I remember my dad saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna ask one of my friends if you can go to work with him." I'm like, "Why? I don't want to work. Like I'm chilling right now."
My grandpa and his dad are really good friends. They've
Yeah.
known each other for a while.
Like I said, my dad had me like very late, so her grandpa and my dad are the
Casi
same
la
age.
misma edad.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I go to work with him, and I don't know who this guy is or anything. And I remember going. He picks me up. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna pick you up tomorrow." I'm like, "Okay." It was like Wednesday or something. Probably gonna come like Monday, whatever. I'll get ready. And he's like, "Okay, just tell him to be ready tomorrow." And I'm like, I guess I'm going to work tomorrow. So I start going to work. And I've always been me. Like I don't care where I'm at or who I'm with. I'm gonna be me. Luckily, her family was very fun at work. They're playing loud music. They're all yelling.
Because my uncles and other family members work with my grandpa, so he met my grandpa and my uncles before he even met me.
Yeah,
shit.
I didn't know who she was, and we live still
2 blocks down each
like
other.
2 minutes walking.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I don't know who she was though, but I'm at work and I'm dancing and I'm yelling with these guys. I feel comfortable with them already. And I remember them like, "Oh, you can dance." Like, and I remember I've always been in quinces and stuff because I'm pretty good at dancing. I'm pretty good though.
She's like, I'm a dancer.
Yeah,
He was like a community chambelán.
Literally. You should start charging at this point.
No, we were
literally.
even thinking about that, but like our whole friend group, we were like, well, we could charge and like,
Yeah.
whatever.
My quince was coming up and I needed one more chambelán. I had everyone down, but I just could not find that last one. So I'm telling this to my family. Like he said, we meet every Sunday. We know each other's worries pretty much most of the time. I open up about that. And then my grandpa was like, "Oh, well, I have a guy works for me. A little boy works for me. He's around your age. I'm going to ask him." I was like, "Okay, what's his name?" He's like, "Jonathan." And I've heard of him before. It's crazy. We grew up around the same people. We grew up in the same town, at the same parties and everything, but we just never really knew each other.
Yeah, like you knew of him. Like
I knew of him, but I didn't know. That was it. Just his name and his face. That's it. So I remember I go on Instagram and I find his account and I text him like, "Hey, I don't know if my grandpa mentioned, but I need one more chambelán. I was wondering if you wanted to be in it."
Like, ¿cuánto cobras? Like, what's the rental fee? Literally.
I had told myself I wasn't going to do them anymore. One, because they make me broke. Like I have to buy the whole suit and everything. And I'm like, it's not even worth it, like, whatever. So I told myself I'm not doing them no more. But then she DM'd me and I was like, I'm not getting fired either, so I'm going to do it. And I remember I said, yeah. But then months went by and nothing, they never mentioned it again. So I was like, okay, maybe they're not,
Maybe they found someone else.
Yeah, they found someone else or something, whatever. And then my dad, like I said, he's a mechanic. So her mom took her car to my dad. Her whole family knows my family. So she picks up her car one day and my dad wasn't there. So he's like, "Oh, you have to give her the keys and this and that." I already knew what to do. So I gave her the keys and she's like, "Oh, you're the one that's going to be in my daughter's quince." But she said it's so intimidating. I'm like, yeah, like
That's me.
I'm the guy.
I don't know what you've heard.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. And then like, like a month later, she's like, "Okay, they're going to pick you up." Her grandpa's like, "They're going to pick you up." They give me their phone number and stuff. And she starts texting me and I start texting her. I don't think nothing of it. I'm like, okay, it's another quince. And then they're like, "Okay, we're on our way." And I'm like, okay. And then like a minute later, they're there. And I'm like, damn, like.
That's when we realized we were really close to each other. The first practice started, again, we still don't know each other. That's where we literally
At this
meet.
point, were you guys like crushing on each other? Like,
No.
"Oh, she's cute. He's
No,
cute."
we
type
were.
thing? Okay.
I actually had like my own little middle school boyfriend, and he had his own girlfriend at the time
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
So the first practice goes on, everything's smooth, we meet, whatever. But then as the practices go on, he like low key starts flirting with me, and I'm like, wait, like, am I tripping
Nah,
or
we
not?
start flirting with each other. Don't.
Yeah.
Nah.
Hey, tú
Mutual.
dijiste que eras volada, eh?
Yeah,
So
right.
dijiste
Don't try to-
earlier. So a lo mejor eran los dos.
Okay, yeah, maybe I
You
was.
looked at me a little.
Like little here and there, like where it's nothing crazy serious.
Yeah.
Maybe I let it happen, but I still think that he initiated. He was.
I think I just had a
already-
flirty personality.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
okay,
always
okay.
has.
Oh, he's like too nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
At this point, I know exactly what I'm doing. I wasn't with this other little middle school boyfriend. It was like a kid relationship, pretty much. We were like on and off. We weren't officially together though. But I remember actually our cameraman's older brother.
Oh, really?
He was another chambelán. He was there, and I told.
Oh, I thought that was the ex-boyfriend. I was like,
No.
I was like, what?
No, he was. Well, he was too a chambelán. But his older brother was in there too. And I know he's chismoso, so I go to him. I'm like, yeah, I kind of like Jonathan, like this and that. The vibes are there, whatever. Because he happens to coincidentally break up with his girlfriend like mid before my actual kisses. Yeah.
Okay. So ella sabía lo que quería.
That's what I'm saying. It was like
Yeah.
mutual. It was both of us.
It was.
And then I told it to my friend. He's like, really? This and that, whatever. I just let him marinate because I know he's going to tell him.
Yeah.
He told him. And then, did you text me? Or did I text
I was like, oh, just tell her like I low key feel her too. But I was like, but I told her I was like, but I'm just playing though. I don't really feel her though. I was like, just tell her that. But I knew what I was doing. And then he went and told her. And then at that point we both knew, and we would, we had like a couple more practices left, and we were just like.
But by the day of the quince, nothing was officially done or said yet.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys were already texting on some babe shit or no?
No. It was just the tension was there. And he says that he was sad the day of my quince.
Oh, I was so depressed.
Why?
He wasn't going to see me.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, after this quince, realistically, I'm not going to see her no more. I was like, it's done. Like, I was so depressed that whole quince. And I remember I was like, I'm going to enjoy this day. But then a couple minutes before I was about to leave, and I was just like saying bye to her, and I was so sad. I was like, dang, like, I guess I'll see you another day or whatever.
Like, are you having another quince?
Yeah. Yeah, literally. I was like, oh. And then that's when I got your number or something.
I think it was through Snapchat.
Oh, yeah, through Snapchat. I got her Snapchat, and then that's when we started texting.
We started flirting here and there.
Yeah.
And then my mom already knew about him. Obviously he was over at my house all the time. And that's when I told her that I was getting a crush on because, we both agreed that we liked each other at that time. We're like fully flirting. So I tell my mom, she's like, no, I don't know, this and that. He comes over just to talk to her. And that's when she's like, not until 6 months. I'm like, okay, girl, whatever. Like, you're being a hater.
Did you guys really wait or no?
No.
In a way, low-key though, huh?
Yeah, low-key. Yeah. Because I was still working with her grandpa at the time, and I remember her mom makes menudo every Sunday. So I remember her grandpa would be like, do you want to work on Sunday? And usually everyone says no, but me, I'm like, if I say yes, he goes over for menudo during lunchtime because we only work half the day, and then we'll go get menudo. I was like, I'll get to see her, So I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm working. I was like, any day you need me on a Sunday, I'm there. And so I go on Sundays with him, and then I always see her, and we get to sit on the couch for a little bit. And
we also went to the same gym, so that was our own. My mom wouldn't let me go anywhere with him, not even for a little ice cream, not even outside, nothing.
Te tenía bien cuidada.
Yeah, the only time was at the gym, and that's because she went. I didn't drive at that time, so me and her went, and he would just go there at the same time. And it was obvious, but she was able to keep an eye on us the whole time.
How did he ask you out?
Like he said, we always do family trips and everything. We ended up going up north to one of the lakes there in Michigan. It was a yearly thing that we did back then. So we went, and it was already the 6-month mark. I'm pretty sure you talked to my mom, right? Before you had asked me out.
She invited me to the trip, and I was like, I'm part of the family. Yeah. I was like, I'm getting married. No, I'm just saying. But she told me that, oh, you can come if you want, And I'm like, hey, I know you told me to wait 6 months. Like, it's been 6. I think it's been like 7 at this point. I was like, but I was so nervous, and I was like, can I like ask her out? And she's like, yeah, that's fine, and this and that. And I was like, okay.
Did she give you a talk or no?
Yeah.
Like, me la cuidas. Yeah. What was that like?
Llévensela like slow. Like, don't try to, take it too fast. Try to just respect my time. If I tell you this and that. I was like, yeah, perfect. Like, whatever I got to do, I'll do it,
So then we went to the lake trip, and I still have the little video. We went on like this little dock pier thing, and that's where he had asked me out. It was so awkward. You can tell we're like 15 and 16, and my aunt was recording, so we just like hugged each other.
Oh, that's cute.
It's like, I try to do everything I could. I've always tried to be like detallista.
He's very detallista. And then, when we got back home, he already had like a whole bunch of gifts ready for me and everything.
He had been saving up all the money. Yeah. He's like, to make it worth it. How was the beginning of the relationship? Like, obviamente, no estabas contando tú that you growing up, you kind of, picked up maybe some of like the toxic traits. And I feel like it's very normal, especially when a couple starts in their teen years and, in high school where it can get toxic, or it's like, especially you guys not going to the same school. How were the early like days when you guys started actually dating?
We've been through every possible stage you can think of. When we were younger, it was more childish, because we were younger, but it was definitely toxic. He was a little toxic.
I was toxic. Yeah,
he didn't like me going out with my friends. He did like to the mall or something like that. We had each other's passwords on everything.
So he was more toxic.
I was toxic.
Yeah. In the beginning, he definitely was. And,
unfortunately.
And then it came to a point where I was like, okay, this is too much. I was like, either you stop or I leave you. And then he kind of like locked in. After that, everything changed and he kind of dropped everything. I think it was a security thing too.
Yeah.
We were both like insecure because we were, you know, younger, whatever. I was too. I was a little toxic on my end too. I was really emotional. I would like lash out on everything. Yeah. Okay, still, but like.
But I'm working on it.
I'm working on it.
You're like, at least I'm trying. What do you feel like were patterns or things that you guys saw growing up that maybe you guys, now that you guys have been in a long relationship, you're like, you know what, I need to unlearn that for the better of this relationship? Do you guys have traits or just things maybe you guys saw, accepted growing up that was so normal to y'all that you were like, okay, if I really want to make it work with this person, like, I need to stop thinking that way, or I need to stop this that I do, or vice versa?
Yes, one big thing for me is I was very aggressive in the beginning. Not like physically, like no le partía su madre en anything, but I was, you know, I have a vocabulary, so I would call the name calling, you know, cussing. I wouldn't care. I
like,
had
you little bitch.
Yeah, I had no respect at all, and he did the whole time. To this day, I promise you, and I tell everybody, people don't believe me. To this day, he has never called me out my name ever since we were 15. Me, on the other hand, I was calling him every name in the book, you know? And eventually, you know, we started getting older and he had to sit down and talk to me. He's like, look, I'm very respectful with you. Yeah. Like, there's no reason for you to be like that. But it was just normal to me. You know, in my house, everybody cusses, you know, everybody talks crazy to each other. So it was something, I'm definitely way better at it now, I will say.
You're like, I still cuss at him, but not as much. What about you?
Yeah, definitely. I was toxic, like she said, and I had to like learn, like, okay, if now I'm a loser. At first, it's because like I was just so like, I want her to myself and only to myself. Like, I don't want no one to even look at her. But we were young, but we were like, it's too much to be doing this. Like, she's gonna end up leaving me. I'd rather have her here, you know, be with me. So I had to fix it. I fixed it and everything. And there was things that I think we like held in and bottled them up, and that's why like we ended up having difficulties later on in the relationship. But for the most part, in the beginning, it was just like flirting, and you know, we didn't really look at stuff like that.
Yeah, he wouldn't communicate that much. He was really bad, whether it was with me or any other things. If he was really stressed, he'd look fine, and then out of nowhere, if I did one little thing to piss him off, he'd like explode. Yeah, and it was just a pattern that I kept realizing. I'm like, why? Like, you can talk to me, like you don't have to bottle exactly. And that was a problem for such a long time, like years.
It also goes into play like with my past. After everything like that I went through, I was kind of just like, don't mention it, just get over it. Like, you'll do it by yourself, you know. Yeah. So that's kind of how it went with
and it
us.
it just brought so many problems because he just exploded out of nowhere, like I said before, until he slowly started working on it. Now he has it all figured out, thankfully. I'm 21 and he's 22 now. We've grown up together. Yeah. We are not the same people we were when we met. As you go, you just have to constantly adapt to your partner.
Nos están platicando de que ustedes growing up siempre tenían ese sueño, siempre querían hacer famosos one way or another, y pues les tocó el content creation. Cuéntanos un poquito más about that. How did creating content come into your guys' mind? What were the early content creating days like? And at what moment did you guys realize, like, oh shit, like, people actually are seeing our shit. People actually love our videos. They love us. We can actually do this full time if we really wanted to.
I remember when TikTok first started going on. I don't know if you remember. Yeah. People were like kind of hating on it. It was 50-50. Some people were like, oh no, that's like the whack version of Musical.ly or whatever. Nobody's getting that anymore. I was still on it. Like I said, I've always been an iPad kid. I'm always on the internet. And we just started posting us being stupid, like what we were pretty much. Not behind the camera, but what we were like. Yeah. And it started getting more and more traction. You know, you reach 100K, 200K. By the time we reached 300K is when it kind of started settling. I will say it took a while. We were not taking it seriously at all, but the numbers kept going up. And people started pointing out. I remember, do you remember the first girl that came up to us?
Yeah, at the mall.
We were getting food, and this girl came up to me. She's like, "Are you Dulce and Jonathan? I watch you guys on TikTok." And that I think that's when it. Yeah, that's when it clicked.
Oh, you had your Selena moment. Literally.
Yeah, that's when it clicked for the both of us, and we're like, "Wait, maybe we're bigger than what we think we are." So then we just kept posting, reach our milestones, and we recently started taking it full time because he was kind of scared of leaving barbering, you know, since that was his income since he was literally, what, 12?
Yeah.
And it was like a stable job.
Yeah, that's the bad thing, that like growing up where I was at, what I was making barbering, it was like don't leave that. Like, you're making good money. So it was hard to, like, risk leaving that.
Was it like a hard risk to like take? Because even though, you know, social media, you hear about it being like, oh, it's never consistent. Like, especially I feel like TikTok too, which I'm glad that you guys are starting to do YouTube more and take it more serious. I feel like with TikTok, the way their creator fund shit works,
it's very
like,
inconsistent.
Like a couple years ago, you used to make bank of it, and now even if you get like 1 million views, like you'll get $30. Like, girl, really? Because like their fucking rules are so much different. Like, was that like a thought you guys had too? Like, okay, like we're gonna fucking go full force, but like, ¿qué tal que 2 months from now we're not making money? Or like, what did you guys think it through like before you guys made the leap of faith?
I don't think so, just because I was still cutting hair at the time. So I was like, we're gonna do social media, but my income is still gonna be the same. I'm still cutting hair. I'm still making money. And then eventually I started cutting less and less, and now I barely like cut. Yeah, but I kind of just cut like my friends and stuff. But now it's like, I get it. It is something you got to worry about. But I feel like if you really want something really bad, I guess it doesn't really matter. I think you'll make it happen. And like you said, we're on YouTube now. And
the thing is, we were kind of doing like 50-50. When we first started our YouTube, I was in school and I worked at this perfume store, so I wasn't giving it full time. And then I stopped. I graduated, whatever. I quit my job, everything. That's when, like you said, the creator fund was paying really good, and I was like, okay, wait, I can go off this.
I can get rich.
I'm like, I can.
And then they all changed their rules like 3 months later.
Yes, I'm like, wait. So that's when we started pushing more YouTube. You know, our YouTube was doing really well. But the only reason why we decided to take a break, you're actually like part of our very first comeback video. We're doing like a whole little rebrand moment. Yeah, our YouTube was nice. You know, obviously our subscribers and everything, they liked our videos. They're always showing support and everything. But we just felt like we could do so much more, and we just have way more to offer.
Hablando de las redes sociales y de su relación de ustedes, you know, obviamente nos dieron mucho de qué hablar in 2024. You guys had a little break that kind of had your social media followers asking like, what's going on? Are you guys together? Are you guys not? You guys broke up kind of, right? Like you guys ended things for like 7 months. Cuéntenos un poquito más de eso. What happened? What was that like? And also, how was it like navigating a breakup in person and also being like, oh shit, like we're breaking up, but there's people asking for answers. There's people wanting to know what's up. Like, what was that like?
So like I said, we did have those things that we didn't end up fixing in the beginning, and they ended up affecting us later on. It wasn't until like she would tell me, you have to fix this, or I would tell her, you have to fix this, and we just would not fix it. I don't know what it was, but we would not. And it took a whole break or a whole breakup for us to finally like open our eyes and say, okay, we're gonna lose each other if we don't, you know, fix this.
Yes, clearing out the air. A lot of people, I don't know where a cheating rumor came from. People think that he cheated on me because I was the one that initiated the breakup, and I did make that public in the video that I posted. A lot of people think he cheated, and he didn't. It was really that. It was the buildup of so many issues that just weren't getting fixed. And it was to a point where the only option was like, okay, we either stay in this place or we break up. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to have to break up. I initiated the breakup, but it wasn't a breakup. It was more of a break. We did that with the intentions of coming back together, working on ourselves, because I felt like that was literally our last resort and our last choice.
So you feel like it was very much like, you know what, like maybe we need this break to kind of appreciate each other.
Yeah.
Like, let's not be with each other too much. Were you guys still like hanging out, like BTS vibes or texting, nada?
We were no contact for like the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, for the first part of it, yeah, we were.
You're like, game, extrañame.
Yes. It's because here's the thing. I used to not scare him, but when I would mention breaking up, he wouldn't really take it seriously. Yeah, and I was like, okay, I have to really take a step back for him to understand. Yeah. And what happened is the first couple months when he realized like, oh shit, she's actually being serious. The first months he wasn't even focusing on himself. He was just worried about me, you know? Even though I was like, I'm not talking to anyone. I'm not like, that's not what I wanted to break up for. And then I would say like 2 to 3 months after then when he actually started focusing on himself and he was doing a lot of good changes for himself.
How was it like, you know, getting back together? Like, did you guys have a moment, like maybe he reached out, you reached out, where the conversation got serious about like, okay, now we can try it. Like, ya te castigué. I gave you a little break. Like, what was that like finding your way back to each other?
Pretty much what happened is we slowly started becoming more into contact. It was already really hard to stay in no contact because we were sharing a car at the time. I was using his car. I had just sold the car that I had. And like we're neighbors, you know, our family so and so. Oh my God, I remember when I broke the news to my family. My grandma was like, "Pero por qué tienen que hablar? Like you guys have to fix it." My whole family was devastated. My mom, she was like, "Just think twice before your decisions, this and that. He's
even
good
her
for
grandpa,
you."
which
Even my grandpa, he's
So, like,
the
your
most
family
hard-headed
loves
man.
him.
Yeah. They love him absolutely.
They all love him more than you. They're like, but why? So we're gonna stop seeing him?
I'm like, so you're not gonna ask about me?
Like, how do I feel? They're all like, how does he feel? Literally.
Yeah, I remember because her grandpa would be like, se hacía the one that didn't like. He's like, why are you dating my granddaughter? You know, try to be the strict guy, and I get it, but right then and there is when his true colors showed, and he was just like, nah, like why? Like, you know, he was questioning her. Like, I think he just didn't want to see her with anyone else. Like, you know, and risk that, and that's when he came out and was like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why?
And then after time, like, they stopped seeing him at the family parties and everything. They would always ask for him, just hoping to see him
I
again.
can't escape him. I might as well get back with him. Literally.
And, so then slowly we started coming more into contact. We started hanging out again. I would let him take me out, you know, on dates here and there. He'd come to the parties again. And then pretty much it came to a point where he was just waiting for the green light for me to say when I was ready.
Yeah.
And then when I felt like we were truly, truly ready, when I felt like I was the best version of myself and he was of him, we got back together. And honestly, I think that break was the best thing we could have done. Honestly. Because ever since then, it's been...
What was it like, you know, navigating that breakup in public? And, you know, nos cuentan that you guys really started social media together so people would see you guys as one. You know, what was it like seeing the comments after that breakup video, or like the accusations of people claiming, thinking they know what really went down in your guys' relationship, but still being like, fuck, I can't say too much because like we're still trying to work out our shit. Like I can't go to them before I even fix what's going on here. What was that like navigating it?
That was definitely an eye-opener because before that, from the time we started, it was only positive, like only love from social media. We would barely get any hate comments. But when that whole thing started, that's when I really realized like, oh shit, like our life is really in public. Like everybody's in our business. And then the accusations started, and that's when more negativity started coming in. Not only that, after when we got back together, some people said like, oh, but you guys are always breaking up. And I'm like, bro, we literally only broke up once, but okay.
Like they swear they fucking
They swear they know
everything.
I'm like, since when are you guys also in the relationship? And it was hard because some people they like started taking sides kind of. Some people started hating on him and they started leaning more towards me. When since the beginning, the video that I dropped, I like made sure I was very clear about everything that I could be clear that I knew at the time. You know, I was like, nobody cheated. Like it was just mutual. We're going to get back. Hopefully this and that. We did get a lot of love, though. You know, some people were really sad when it happened, which I think is really sweet. Yeah. And then we got back together.
So he was kind of like the bad guy in the breakup. Not the bad guy, but like in the, hey, how did that feel for you in that moment? Like, oh, shit, like, bitch, everyone's coming at me thinking they know what I did, but nada que ver. What was it like experiencing that?
For me, I was like, man, I don't care. I just need this girl back. Like, I don't care. I was just like, I don't care what they have to say. I could clear that up later. Right now, I just got to focus on getting myself together for her and figuring what I got to figure out. But yeah, I didn't really care about it. It was.
How do you guys balance, like, what are we going to share with our online community versus what we're going to keep private? Because I feel like not everything is meant to be, like, publicized.
We definitely agree on what to share and what not to share. But sometimes, let's say we'll have an argument or something goes down, whatever. If I do post about it, it will be like in a joking type of way. You know, if I'm already crying, I'll just set up the camera and say like a stupid reason why I'm crying, blaming it on him, whatever, but in a sarcastic way where it's still positive, you know, the mood is still light and everything. But ever since that, we definitely did realize that we have to be more careful on what we say, you know, what we make public, what we keep to ourselves. Like I said, a very big eye-opener. Another reason why we did post about the breakup and make it public is because we kind of started it together. You know, like our followers have been there since day ones. They've seen our whole journey up to this day, so it kind of feels like we do owe it up to them. There's also that pressure of they kind of do deserve an explanation because they're, you know, so in tune. But we also like to post some of our bad moments to show the same thing that you said. Not every relationship is perfect, and I don't think it's good to romanticize a relationship online. A lot of people do that, and it's really easy to do that. I get it, but every relationship has their negative sides, and that's just something that we've always been really open about, which is why I don't really mind showing the negative sides either.
Do you guys ever get the pressures of like marriage, like kids, or not just online, but in person? How do you guys like deal with stuff like that?
Oh my gosh, marriage is such a big one. We just went to Italy and everybody in my country like, oh, he's gonna propose. My family, they're like, you're gonna come back with the ring. My mom swore, she was like, ya te voy a ver, ya te vas a regresar con ella. She's like, what are you gonna tell me when you come
la mano.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, like we're just not ready. Like we already have everything figured out. So there's definitely that slight pressure.
There is that pressure of like everyone thinks that I'm gonna propose to her. And another thing is like I said, I've always been detallista, so they assume that I'm gonna make like the biggest like a parade or something that when I propose. But we already talked about everything. Like we know how we want it and we have our plans and everything. So we're trying to stick to that.
What piece of advice would you guys give to any couple watching us right now that feels pressure, not just from online, but maybe from family, friends, of marriage, kids, when people are putting other people's timelines onto them?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, something that people ask us a lot is like relationship advice in general. And the number one thing that we have concluded and came up with is that there has to be effort from both parties 24/7. It cannot be, 80, what's the ratio? 80-20.
Yeah.
It has to be 50-50. If not, it simply won't work. And the effort has to be there nonstop. The times that we haven't put where either I'm putting more effort or he's putting more effort, it just doesn't work. It never works out. That's something we've realized.
My dad, he doesn't really care. He's like, whenever you get, he already has his grandkids, so he's like,
Tim, you guys are married already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But her family definitely, they're like, oh, when are you guys gonna have kids? And some of her family had them really young, and then the other half had them really late. And they're like, no, have them late. Some are like, have them early. And we're just like, you know what? We'll go when we want.
Yeah,
When we
we'll
feel
have them
like,
when we want.
Yeah, when we feel
yes.
like it, But yeah, that's how we kind of do with it. We feel like we'll do it when we're ready. If I could give you advice, it'd be to go at your own rate, and you and your partner exclude everything else and think about when you guys want to do stuff, and you guys figure it out, and don't let other people's opinions,
Yeah, it's only you two in the relationship. It's not you two and your family or your followers or your friends or whatever.
Mientras que ustedes sepan what really is going down and the plans that you guys have for your future, eso es todo lo que importa. Yo les voy a dar un pinche pop quiz ahorita. I'm gonna ask some, couple pop quiz questions. Who does this better, or who does this or that? First question, who said I love you first?
Me.
Yeah.
Who's most likely to say sorry in an argument, whether they're right or wrong?
I would say him.
I think me, yeah.
I apologize, but only when I truly think I should. But besides that, if I think he's in the wrong, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, sometimes even if I feel like I'm in the right, I'll be like, you know what? If I just say sorry, everything will be good. So I just.
But that's the thing. Sometimes with him, it takes a lot for him to say it too. Yeah. Either he's sorry or not. So I would say it's like almost the same.
Yeah. Okay, who's more sensitive?
Oh, me. I cry. Sure, I'm the crier. I'm like, I cry for the both of us. I feel for the both of us.
Yeah, you're his emotions.
Yeah, she got all of mine and more.
Who's the better communicator?
Definitely me.
Yeah, I think her.
Who's more stubborn?
Her.
Why?
No, I would say so. I don't. Or who do you think is more stubborn? Me?
You kind of are.
You think so? What is stubborn? Maybe I don't know what stubborn is enough.
No, I mean, honestly, I think I am a little bit more, but I think we're close, but yo sí le paso.
Yo le gano. This is my win. Who has the worst memory?
Me. Oh.
Yeah.
Who's a better cook?
Him.
Me.
Last one. Who gets jealous easier?
Definitely me. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It was like vice versa, because you remember how I told you he was toxic in the beginning? He would trip out if he saw a guy looking too hard, if he saw somebody like in my phone, like even if it was like a comment notification, like something so stupid. Yeah. And he obviously stopped now. He just came to terms with everything. He's very nonchalant now. If somebody looks, he's like, whatever, at the end of the day, you're still with me.
Yeah, she's like, oh, that guy's like breaking his neck. And I'm like, tell him break it harder right now.
I've been really loving this episode, pero antes de que terminemos con el episodio del día de hoy, los voy a dejar con la última pregunta that I feel like I love ending with, just because I feel like sometimes like I'll have episodes that really have past 5 años, and we'll go back to them and I'm like, oh my God, you really did do what you said. Where do you guys see yourself in the next 5 years, whether that's as a relationship, individually, career-wise, en donde se miran en los próximos 5 años?
Definitely married. Definitely. We don't know if kids or not, though. So maybe we'll have 1 or 2, or we'll just decide to go
real hard
kids.
On that. Maybe, though. Maybe.
Yeah, because your family's going to see it and like, they said 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, at first we really wanted kids. Now it's like, I don't know. But
definitely married, though.
definitely
like I
married.
said, still on social media. Hopefully, we have a lot of history already on the internet and
Yeah.
everything. And like you said, we can look back to this, recall,
What about individually?
individually.
I want to be fully done with barbering and hopefully fully on to social media. I want to have a house, my own house. We've been searching for a house for 3 years now, and we cannot find one. So hopefully a house.
Period.
We found an apartment though, so we're actually gonna move in together
It's
next
good
month.
steps.
Yeah.
Those are baby steps. Good. Oh wait, so you guys are finally gonna live together?
Yes, next month. We
Are
already
you guys
have to think
excited
everything.
about
Yes,
that?
very.
Oh my god, I feel like once you live with your partner, I feel like that's really like when you really see the relationship
Yes.
get more serious. So I really am happy for that next chapter of your guys' life. Me ha estado encantando el episodio del día de hoy, que si ustedes todavía no han ido a seguirlos, ¿qué chingados están haciendo? Make sure you guys go ahead and follow them. I will leave their links down below as well as on the screen right here, right now. Y también no se les olvide seguirme a mí so you guys won't miss any future episodes. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having us. This was so much fun.
Thank you.
And thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys. Yay!
Audio Jungle.